This video reviews how to solve an inequality. When you're solving an inequality, you want to solve it like you're solving an equation, but you always want to make sure your variable ends up on the left. And what that means is sometimes you're going to have to reverse your inequality symbol. So the two times you're going to have to reverse your inequality symbol: one, if you have to move the variable to the left-hand side. So if it's on the right and you need to switch it so that it's on the left, you're going to turn the inequality symbol around at the same time. And the second one is if you multiply or divide by a negative number. When you go to graph an inequality, you have to pay attention to what type of circle you're using. So if you have a less than or greater than symbol, you're going to use a circle like that that's not filled in, an open circle. If it includes the greater than or equal to, if it has the or equal to in it, when you put it on a graph, it's going to be a filled in circle. So let's try a few of these. So if we solve this, we would subtract the 5 from both sides. So 2x would be less than negative 12. And then our last step is to divide by negative 2. So x would be greater than 6. If we have to graph that, in the middle of our graph, we're going to put the number 6. All right, we use an open circle because it's just a greater than, not an or equal to. And the arrow is going to point the same way as the inequality. So all the stuff that's greater than 6 is to the right. All right, if we solve this one, we're going to subtract the 5x because we want the variable to end up on the left. So we have negative x minus 1 greater than negative 9. Add on your 1. So negative x is greater than negative 8. And then to finish that, we have to divide by a negative 1. So that means we're going to flip that inequality around from a greater than to a less than, and x would be less than 8. So we put an 8 in the middle of our our number line, an open circle, and this time the stuff that's less than is to the left. Less is left. We shade left. And our last one, we're going to distribute first. So 6x plus 3, subtract our 3. So we get 12 is greater than 6x. Divide by 6. So 2 is greater than x, but what that means is our variable's on the right-hand side this time. So we're going to flip the whole thing around. So x goes to the left. We turn our inequality symbol around and have it be less than 2. So we're going to put an open circle at 2, and we're going to shade to the left. We can also take a look at compound inequalities. Compound just means that there's 2 of them. So we're going to solve both of our inequalities, and then we're going to graph both of them on the same graph or the same number line. If you have an and as your connecting word, I always think of it like it's a sandwich, which means the stuff is in between the two endpoints. So the two endpoints are kind of like our bread, and this is all the meat in between. Ors mean we're going to put our oars, like in a boat, in the water. So what that looks like is this time we graph stuff pointing out, away. Put your oars in the water. So let's try a couple of these. So if we solve the left-hand one for x, we get 2x is greater than 4. So x would be greater than 2. And then to solve the other one, we're going to divide by negative 3. And that means we have to flip our inequality around. So x would be greater than or equal to 6. Let's fix that. Greater than or equal to, nope, we were right the first time. Less than or equal to 6. All right, then we're going to put both of those on a number line. So we're going to put our 2 here, our 6 here. The 6 gets a closed circle. The 2 gets an open circle. And we're going to shade all the stuff in between. All right, we're going to sandwich all the stuff in between those two numbers. All right, if we solve this one, we get that x is less than negative 10. Or, in this one, we're just going to divide by a negative 1. So that flips our inequality around. And this time, we always still want to put our smaller number on the left, bigger number on the right. Open circle at the 3. And an open circle at the negative 10. So our oars go out in the water. And then our last one, this one's an and, but we can solve it all at one time. So we're going to solve for x in the middle. So that means we're going to subtract 3, but we're going to subtract it from all 3 parts this time. So that leaves us a 2x in the middle. And and we're going to divide everything by 2. So all 3 parts. So negative 1 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 4. Then when we go to graph it, negative 1 and 4 are our endpoints. We want the stuff in between, but the negative 1 gets an open circle and the 4 gets a closed circle. But that is simply an and when it's sandwiched in between those two inequality symbols.